you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast, the hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, the Iron Lady sings that makes it official. Welcome to the big show. As always, we bring you the Chris Voss Show for over 16 years. The CEOs, the billionaires, the White House presidential advisors, Pulitzer Prize winners, all the smartest people with the smartest stories, sharing their journeys of life and how you can improve yours, and inspiring you to do more, especially if you're like an entrepreneur in this case. We're going to be talking with a wonderful young man today about our continuing coverage that we've been doing of CES and the CES Show 2025. Anyway, we're going to be talking with Larry Richenstein. And we're going to be talking about his company called WePower Technologies and some of the things they did there at CES Show and everything they're offering over there. Larry is the founder and CEO of WePower Technologies. He's spent nearly his entire career in wireless consumer technologies. He really hates wires. No, I'm just kidding. Larry got his start in the industry working for his father's consumer electronics company and has since then gone on to found or co-found 4 technology companies of his own, including Lone Star Technologies, Long Haul Technologies, and Unwired Technology. He's been involved with the Consumer Technology Association, CTA, for over 30 years, having served as a number of leadership roles, including chairman of Automotive Electronics Division, chairman of the CTA Foundation, and a member of the CTA Board of Industry. Welcome to the show, Larry. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Chris.
We had Gary Shapiro on, the head of CTA, and now we've got you on, and we're just eventually going to have on the whole staff at this pace.
It's a big staff at CTA.
It is. Holy crap. And I guess there's a president now. Larry's been moved back, or not Larry.
Kinsey.
Gary's been moved back to CTO and chairman, I think, or CEO and chairman.
I'm brain
CEO
and chairman. Here.
Yeah, I'm brain farting. Yeah, he's not president anymore, I think.
Kinsey Fabrizio is the new president.
I think I'm having a brain seizure during the show here, Larry, so work with me. So, Larry, give us your .coms. Where can people find you on the interwebs?
The company is WePower Technology, but the technology is called GEMS, GEMNS. And so it's www.gemns.com, gems.com.
So give us a 30,000 overview of what you guys do there.
We are energy harvesting technology company, and basically what that means is we can find ways to harvest energy to eliminate batteries in a whole host of products, starting with the water sensor that we showed at CES, but going into lighting controllers, remote control devices, and then there's thousands of applications beyond that. You think of anything today that has a battery in it, and our idea is how do we get rid of it? Because batteries are not a good thing. They're a bad thing. They're not great for the environment, and they're wasteful. And we can actually power microprocessors and sensors and transmitters and send transmissions of readings from these various sensors without the use of any battery whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And so there's no batteries?
No batteries. So if you look at water sensors today, and then this is a good example, and that's why we chose to do this as a reference product. Typically, if you have a water sensor, and I live in the Northeast, so I'm used to wet basements. And typically what happens in the mechanical room, you get a wire coming down from one of the junction boxes, and you get a little blue pad, which is a water sensor. And that's a wired unit. It's wired into your house. And it works fine in the mechanical room, but there's a lot of other places where water can occur. And what people have done over the years is they've been buying these little inexpensive battery-operated beepers that when they get wet, they go beep, 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 and hopefully you hear it and go downstairs and realize you got a basement leak. Oh, yeah. So the problem is, of course, with those devices is if you're not home, you're not going to hear the beeping. You might be sleeping, you wouldn't hear the beeping. And of course, the reality is that chances are the batteries die by the time the flood occurs, and you didn't remember to change the batteries, and the thing is dead, and you're not getting any signal whatsoever.
Oh, wow.
So our device is not only able to lay on the ground for a year, 20 years, 30 years,
wow,
and be completely ready to send a signal. So in order to explain it the best way, you ever take two magnets and put them in your hand, what happens? They attract, and you got to pull them apart.
Mm-hmm.
But if you flip them around and you put them together, you feel them pushing away from each other. Mm-hmm. They're repelling. Mm-hmm. And we use that magnetic power, that magnetic energy, and we store it. And we have a piece of paper, and I have a sample here. I can actually take one out and show this is a prototype, but it'll show you what we're doing. I'm sorry, I have to get it out first. But what you can see here is the device has a piece of paper around it, and this plunger has a spring, and it's pushing constantly against the paper.
Oh, wow.
The first time that paper gets wet, it weakens, and the spring pushes up, and those magnets that were repelling are now able to move, and they send a signal through the printed circuit board on your Z-Wave hub, and it says you have a leak in the basement, or you have a leak under your washing machine, or under the dishwasher, wherever you decide to put this device.
Yeah.
So they're wireless, batteryless. They can lay on your ground for a month or 20 years or 30 years and still have the energy stored, ready to pop as soon as the first time it hits that water.
That is wild. Batteries, or not batteries, but magnets. And so this is probably much more, one of the problems we have with batteries is the disposal. These Tesla batteries for these cars. If you've ever seen them try to put one out with water and stuff when they burn, the leaching, all the stuff that comes from these batteries. And of course, what it takes to make the batteries as well, the mining that we have to do. And it's very dirty, filthy business. I'm not shaming it. I'm just saying it's dirty business. You got to dig.
Yeah, no, you're right.
With magnets, you're not going to have that. We're not filling landfills with magnets. And
no, they last forever. Almost. And the situation is that this device. How many times do you think you would use this if you bought it? If you had a leak every year and you had the house for 50 years, it would activate 50 times. We've tested the unit inside here to over 250,000 pushes or activations.
Wow.
So, and it doesn't degrade at all. There's no degradation whatsoever. It can sit there on the ground, and it'll be as powerful 30 years from now as it is right this second.
And it powers the communication that would go to like Bluetooth or Z-Wave and other things. We've used it. We've used water sensors that were sent to me to review, and they do run on a battery charge, which I don't know how long it lasts. Somehow they made it so they last a long time, but not anywhere near the length you're talking about. But yeah, if they go the battery goes dead. You're like, hey, how come we got water on the floor and it didn't go off? You're like, oh,
The other issue is also, as you know, batteries, when they're in a difficult environment, like maybe higher humidity, they start to corrode pretty quickly. Everyone's opened up a battery compartment and said, "Oh my gosh, what's inside here?" And that acid accumulates, and sometimes it just ruins the product completely. Wow. So that's another issue that doesn't occur when you're using energy harvesting.
Wow. Yeah, that makes sense. It really does. And it's much more cleaner, it's safer for the environment, probably overall. Magnets, just the simple thing about magnets. And it says here 40 times more power.
Yes, there's a company that's been out about 24 years, as I recall, and they've been in energy harvesting. And their devices are the same size as ours. They have only one. We have three different ones. This is the G200. This is inside the water sensor that I showed you before. And they put out 1/30th of the amount of energy or less that we put out. So it's a situation where when you think of more energy, what does that get you? It gets you a stronger signal going a longer distance with more packets, with more data being transmitted. So they can only send 1 or 2 packets. And what happens is, in a wireless signal, you want redundancy because sometimes the receiver won't pick it up the first time. And the odds are, say it's a 70% chance that they're going to receive it. You need to have more than 2 or 3 signals if you want to be really certain that that signal is going to be received. We can send 25 or 30 beacons or messages out of a single activation, whereas the competition is getting 2 messages. So it's not even a comparison.
That is wild. That is wild. And you're looking to license these products. You're not making products for the retail consumer. You're looking for companies that want to license them with you, license their technology, and utilize in their products.
That's right. We've been trying to do that for a while, and what we found was that maybe we have more of an imagination than the prospective licensees we're going after. So that's when we decided to go after a couple of reference products to show people how this technology can be utilized. And the water sensor, which we've shown in a very early form previously, but at this show, we're in pre-production. We're like a pre-production product right now. It'll be in production by May of this year as a Z-Wave product. And now we've got, like I said, we've got 9 major brands that have committed to the product, and they will license it from us and at the same time buy from a contract manufacturer that we're in discussions with right now. We're talking to a few contract manufacturers who'll build it. But in the future, other products that we're talking to, I mean, we had so many different companies coming into the booth at CES talking about different applications that they would want to use it for, use our technology for, that, I feel now we're getting to the point where people understand it. So the water sensor was one device, and the other one that we've decided as a reference product to do is a wireless, battery-free light controller, light switch. But they get more sophisticated today, where you can add a rotary dial for dimming, or you can have a switch for different scenes where the lights are completely set up differently. That's all part of modern lighting today. And we had such a great response to that product, especially because in Europe, they've just outlawed batteries in light switches starting in August 27th.
Really?
So the light switches companies, it's great. I tell some people jokingly, well, that was our lobbying program in Europe. And they say, really? You have a lobby? I said, we're a startup. How am I supposed to have a lobby? It's called luck,
Yeah,
that's all.
Luck. Yeah. That's what you need in business sometimes. We've and I'm looking at the product. There's a cutaway on your website of some of the product, and there's technology that's inside it. So I don't mean to dumb that down, but I imagine, we've gotten products that, we reviewed a lot of products over the years before COVID, and we would get products where there was some sort of electronics issue. Usually sometimes the battery was just dead. Like we get a lot of these battery backups, you'd use it for your phone or something. It just wouldn't work. And they're like, the battery's probably fucked up or something. With this thing, I like I said, I don't want to minimize it, but the magnet parts of it is pretty low tech technically, right? I mean, it's...
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is not a new technology. Faraday's law, which if I had taken physics in high school, I would have learned, but I chose not to. I took the easier route. But yeah, this is the concept has been around a long time. Our patents are fresh because that inventor, who was a little bit difficult to work with when I first started with this business, really, he made some mistakes, but he made some great discoveries also. And so we have something here that I think is so unique and at the same time really robust. I mean, this is not going to fail. And when you talk to people today, I mean, yes, it's old technology, but it's also so new and different with the way we're approaching it. So I kind of like that aspect. And with the water sensor, the idea of a paper breaking and allowing this thing to transmit, it's really a beautiful combination to me of like old and new coming together to make what I think is a perfect product.
Yeah, very simple. It's hard to sense water. It really is.
Yeah.
It's hard. I think some of the things that we've gotten for sensors on water, I'm not sure how they rely on it, but I think there's two different sensors they have, and if both get contact, then they mark it. But they get a lot of false alarms for us. Sometimes, like you said, moisture. Sometimes they get bumped and they'll set off, and so they've been kind of here and there. But I like the paper and the magnets. I mean, it's really low tech. It's like old world simple stuff. Put it together. Yeah, maybe we can do that with cars and stuff, because, you look at the technology and the battery systems of cars. There's some TikTok shows that I watch where these guys take and they refurbish tech batteries, because I guess Tesla doesn't do it, or maybe it's cheaper, I don't know. But they basically take old Tesla batteries and they go through and refurbish them. They find out which cells are bad. I mean, really all they are is a giant pack of batteries when you look at them. But yeah, the work and the throw out and the waste and the limited range, of course. You can drive an electric car for a few years and then you got to replace the whole battery system or whatever. It's definitely a thing people are looking at, the costs and ways. What are some other things we haven't discussed that you guys were marketing at CES and all that good stuff?
Well, we have a bunch of different ways to harvest energy. So one of the things, another product we were showing that we know we have some real interest in, is a door monitor, where every time the door opens and closes, we can generate energy to either send a signal saying the door has been opened or closed, and we can actually tell which one it was, whether it was being opened or closed. And also, because of that energy coming out and that we have so much, we could also take a picture of the person opening or closing the door. And we actually talk about perimeters. Again, this is more in the whole smart home space, but we also, because our devices don't have batteries, we don't need a battery compartment. So it's much easier for product designers to design products to be dust-free and water-resistant when there's no battery compartment. And so we're also looking at like perimeter gates and fences where we can actually be outside, and anytime the gate opens or closes, it could send a signal to the home's hub saying that someone's opened the gate or not, for example. And I mean, this would also, of course, apply in businesses, smart buildings beyond the smart home. So there's quite a few applications for this. And then we're talking to people. I mean, we talk to people about shock. We can harvest shock as a energy source too. So, for example, if you have a $500,000 machine that's very sophisticated and you're sending it across to Europe, and you want to make sure it's okay, you could put a shock detector from us in there and know if the package has hit a shock. And what we could do is, when that shock occurs, we can harvest the energy from that shock, read a GPS signal and a timestamp, and be able to put that in non-volatile memory, which will basically hold it there to whenever someone gets it. So when the machine lands in Europe and someone says, well, let's see, has this thing taken any hits? They would be able to go to the device and say, oh yeah, wait a minute, when it was being loaded just before the ship took off, this thing took a really hard shock, and therefore we're going to have to look it over and make sure everything is okay, as an example.
It's amazing, these things that like the average person doesn't think about. So you guys are solving a lot of these challenges and stuff for people. So how'd the show go overall for you guys at CES Show 2025?
It was a great show for us. This is our third show. We were in the North Hall again in the IoT area, which is kind of a hodgepodge of a lot of different things. It wasn't all IoT. But we had all the big customers that we were hoping to get in. The only one issue I would say that we had was that some of the smart home products, or most of the smart home products, were in another hall, and it was hard to get some of them to our booth because, as you know, CES isn't the easiest place to move around. So if you have a meeting at the Venetian Conference Center or the convention center there in the Venetian, and you want to come see us in the North Hall of the Las Vegas Convention Center, well, between the walk and the drive and getting a car, I mean, it could take an hour.
I was joking with Gary Shapiro, who's on the show. If I haven't mentioned it before during the broadcast, he's the CEO of CTA. I think I did at the beginning. I'm having a brain hemorrhage.
No, we did.
Yeah, the brain's failing. It's the old age kicking in. So we were joking because I joke every year about how I'm going to see all of CES. Like I'm gonna hit every freaking booth and every floor, and I'm going to see it all. And I never get over to the newer parts of CES that they have to a camera, the Aura and the Cosmopolitan and stuff. I never get over that way, and I usually collapse somewhere. My legs just go, "Fuck you, we're not doing this with you." So I was joking with Gary. I'm like, I was joking with a friend of mine that I might get one of them scooters, and that way I just blast through CS. And he goes, if you think about it, he quoted me like how many booths they had, and he goes, and then how much time you have over 4 days, and he goes, it's just you'd have to like spend like 0.3 seconds at each booth.
That's funny.
You got a good point. Yeah. So
I don't think anyone can see that whole show in 1 week in the 4 days of the show.
Yeah, I don't even know how Gary does it. Like I asked him, I'm like, what coffee are you drinking over there, Gary? Because I need some of that just to get through my day.
Well, I ran into Gary one morning at the hotel. And I was very fortunate. I felt honored. He offered me a ride to the show.
Oh, did he?
But I had my whole team down there. That was very nice. We had a whole team ready to go downstairs, so I had to meet with my team. But he says, "Where's your booth?" I said, "I'm in North Hall." And he says, "Oh, I haven't been over there yet." I said, "Okay, well, if you're there, stop by." He says, "I will." But I never saw him. So I think he probably never got to North Hall, maybe, but
he probably gets pulled so many directions with.
He gets, of course. I mean, he's got all kinds of commitments during the day, speeches,
all the speaking,
talks, interviews,
the intros. Yeah, it's just, I'm just so amazed he has so much energy to do all that. But
he does.
I just want to know. It's like when I look at my Husky, I'm like, how do we extract some of this energy and put it into me? But so give us your final thoughts as we go out. Tell people if they're interested how they can reach out to you guys on board. See if it's a fit, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure. We're at www.gems.com, and certainly feel free to contact me. I'm at larry@gems.com, and any information you want, we're here to give it to you. And again, we're just looking for good opportunities to eliminate batteries as much as possible in as many products as possible.
Yeah. Most definitely. And it'll be exciting to see these things happen because I think I watch these Tesla cars burn or these electronic cars burn.
I've seen that.
And like sometimes they have to throw them in water, like a pool for like a few days. just try to make sure the thing's out. And you just look at it and you're just like crazy. And you're just like, I can't imagine what this thing leaches in when you take them to, I think that's why they're trying to recycle them more. I can't imagine what this thing leaches when you put it in a landfill.
Yeah, well, batteries do, and again, I mean, we're certainly not looking to replace car batteries. That's going to, I don't know if we'll ever be able to do that. But, in a lot of the remote control, IoT device and other things. I mean, today smart locks are using batteries. Every hotel you go to today, when you use one of those cards to read, they have batteries in that thing, and they wear out quickly. So we're actually talking to some of the battery companies to extend the life of those batteries by recharging them more often.
It'd be great if you could figure out a way to do it with phones. I don't know how you do it, but
it's going to be a while too. We'll work on it, though.
Yeah, it's time and technology. AI will solve all of our problems, so maybe that'll help. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it, man.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate your time and the talk. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Larry. Thanks to us for tuning in. Be sure to see all of our CES 2025 coverage. You can Google it on the Chris Voss Show, and it will come up. You just put in CES 2025 or CES Show 2025. Either one will get you the search on there. Take a look at some of the technologies and further interviews we'll be having throughout the year. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe, and we'll see you guys next time.